welcome. Happy Wednesday morning. It is Wednesday, October 16th. So excited to be here with you all today. It's still hot here in Mexico, but I think the cool weather is kind of around the corner. So I'm super excited for that. If you're here live, I'd love to know where you're calling from, or if you're back watching the replay, go ahead and type it into the chat, as well as if you do have any questions, go ahead and type it into the chat. Super excited to be with you all today. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get into it. So today we're going to be discussing how to get private pay clients in the era of corporate mental health companies. And this is something that a lot of people have expressed fear around, and I totally get it because there's a lot out there. We're going to talk about all that today, about what's being said, what's true, what's not true. But first, welcome. If you are new to my world, I'm Emma, and I'm a business strategist for therapists. And I help impact driven and ambitious therapists really build practices that allow them financial, free time freedom, and sometimes location freedom. Oh, awesome. All right. From Nigeria, all the way from there. That's so exciting. Thanks for being here today. Yes, so I have been in private practice for 10 years, and I know everything about private practice. And I'm private pay. I charge $250 a session. I travel the world. I work with my dream clients. And having this life is so possible. And a lot of therapists just don't know how to do it because we're really not taught how to market our practices, how to market ourselves. So that's why I'm here to help you guys learn more about how to do that. If you are serious about and you're wanting some help in order to build your practice, I would love to help you do that. I'll put the link to book a call with me below in the comments, and you can do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So, how to get private pay clients in this era of the big tech corporate mental health companies. So, you may have seen, I have seen this. This kind of came about because of something I saw in a Facebook post, which was, I believe it was in like the group Private Pay Practitioners or something like that, where people were posting about how private pay clients were going to be going away, and they weren't going to be, people weren't going to be able to really have and sustain private pay practices anymore because of these corporate mental health companies really making it easy for people to use their insurance. So companies like Headway, Alma, Grow, I think Thrive, I forget what they all are called, but maybe Rula is one. All of these companies that kind of will sign therapists on to take insurance and then purportedly sort of like do the work of the billing and the checking for benefits, and can sometimes, apparently get a higher rate for clinicians and stuff like that. Of course, it doesn't always work out that way in practice, as some of you may know or have experience in. So there is this fear out there that now that it's easier, people can just, have this easy platform to figure out how much their therapy is going to cost and pay a very low copay, that it's going to be a lot harder to have a private pay caseload. So there is a lot of like fear mongering in these Facebook groups, a lot of scarcity mindset, a lot of people saying you need to just get paneled with insurance or just hook up with one of these companies in order to essentially stay safe and essentially have an income as a therapist. And so there are more and more therapists kind of signing on with these companies. And so maybe you're here right now and you're kind of doubting whether it's still possible to get private pay clients in this economy and in this culture. And you might be even debating accepting insurance or signing on again with one of these companies. So I'd love to hear from you too, if you're watching this back or if you're watching now. Just sort of like where you are with that. Like, are you taking insurance? Are you debating it? Are you new to private practice? Would love to hear kind of where you are and in your stage of the journey. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. I want to start off by saying There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking insurance. I took insurance myself for years inside my practice before I actually knew how to market a private pay practice because I was really scared. And that was fine for me for the time being. I think I was too, I just didn't know emotional. I don't think I had the space emotionally to actually market my practice. Um, but I do want to say the truth is that an insurance based practice is not for everyone. Some of us do not want to deal with the often really low reimbursement rates. I think I was on a panel that paid me like $65. The clawbacks, oh my God, I was getting so many. There were the carve out plans, and actually, people didn't qualify. And then you would have to go through this, like, oh, I have to give back this money that was actually a low reimbursement rate anyway. I spent so long sitting on the phone with insurance agents and feeling so not respected for what I had already tried and my degree and all these things, and just told to go through that automated system again and again and again. And then the treatment parameters. You can only do sessions that are this much in length, and the 90837, and you have to code for it, and you have to provide a diagnosis, and you have to justify whatever intervention you used in a session. And you can't probably do like an intensive. You might not be able to do kind of alternative types of treatment modalities. So this felt really stifling to me for a lot of reasons. And I know some of these big tech kind of corporate mental health companies are saying, like, we will do the checking for their, like, whether or not clients qualify. We'll do the benefits checking. And apparently that's not always happening. And I think I hear that there are still things like clawbacks, and there are also still lower reimbursement rates. And oftentimes there's also a fee to be even credentialed with something like Alma or something like that. And sometimes they really don't send many clients. So it seems to me that there's still a lot of disadvantages for therapists. And of course, there might be advantages. And for some people, it is the right thing to do to join up with a Headway or an Alma, or to get credentialed with insurance. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But there's a lot of issues, as we all know, with insurance. But what I really want to hammer home for you guys today is that you can absolutely still attract full pay, high intent, soulmate private practice clients in the time of these corporate mental health companies. That private pay clients are not going away. They may be, there may be certain people who were on the fence who, oh, now that it's easier to use my insurance, I will. So that might exist a little bit. However, the people who are really going to be your soulmate clients, who are really devoted to therapy, who are really value therapy and a specialist, these people aren't going away. They're still going to be here. So I want you to think about it this way. So people who value therapy and are looking for a specialist, these people are willing to pay out of pocket for a therapist. I want you to think for a second about like this is a ridiculous example a little bit, because I know, probably we're not seeing not all of us are seeing like the Oprahs of the world, but I do want you to think about if like Oprah were looking for a trauma therapist. Do you think she would be like going to her insurance list and being like, well, I gotta find someone who is in network with Aetna, and like, yeah, they, as long as they say that they treat trauma, I'm okay with that, even if they maybe don't look like such a specialist. Like, no. Like, if Oprah were looking for a trauma therapist, she would be, and again, this is just an example, but if she were looking for a trauma therapist, she would be like finding the best freaking trauma therapist out there. She would be asking her trusted network about like who the trauma therapists were that were the best of the best. She would potentially, maybe not her, but people like her might be Googling it. like who are these amazing trauma therapists in my state that I could see. So this is, I know not our clients are not like Oprah oftentimes with that. Some of them maybe, but I want you to think about it this way. Like there's a huge section of the population that has the ability to pay for out-of-pocket therapy, values specialists, values someone who can really help them and really do the best job and give them the best experience at treating their problem. They value that more than they value saving the whatever amount of money it would be to use insurance versus not use insurance. And this is always going to exist. Because people will pay for things that they place a lot of value on, and there are always going to be people, and in fact I think it's still kind of like, I think it's actually like rising probably, the amount of people who really value therapy and really place importance on the therapeutic relationship and in having a great therapist. So this idea of like people pay for things they value. So there are people who pay, I think I saw an article in another one of these Facebook groups about like people will pay $350 an hour for like baby naming services. There was some post about this and it was like, well, why wouldn't, like of course people would be willing to pay to have their, deepest traumas not affect them in the same way anymore. Of course they would pay to save their relationship. Of course they would pay to not be riddled with, compulsions from OCD all the time. I want you to think about some of the things people will pay for. So people will pay to fly first class, for example. No one really needs to fly first class. You don't, maybe some people you could make an argument do, but I would say for the vast majority of people, they do not need to fly first class. It's a luxury. It's something that they place value and importance on. By the way, therapy, I'm not saying that it's a luxury. In fact, it's incredibly impactful and important. But I'm just making the point that like if people are willing to fly first class and spend this money, like of course there's going to be a sect of people who are going to be willing to pay out of pocket for therapy, something that is far more impactful in the scope of their lives. People also pay for like the upgraded or fast pass, I forget what it is, version at theme parks. They pay for things like Disney World. They pay for these experiences. Like people will pay for things that help them have a better experience. It's not always about just getting the cheapest thing for people. If it were always about that, we wouldn't have first class. We wouldn't have the fast pass at amusement parks. People really want a good experience. So again, I believe that the perceived value of therapy is only going up, especially in this world we live in where there's a lot of things happening, global warming, a scary political landscape, very scary things happening. There's a lot of people who need and want therapy. Yes, there are going to be people, of course, like I mentioned before, who have some scarcity mindset and are going to decide to use insurance. That has always been the case. That will always be the case. And it will always be the case that there are these people who are willing to pay out of pocket. There are going to be plenty of people who do not give a crap about corporate mental health companies and who just want the best treatment that is out there for their problem. In fact, sometimes paying for a service even increases the perceived value that people are getting. So I want you to think about this like for yourself. Like, has there ever been a time that I'm thinking about, like, this example just came to my head, like in the store when you see like there's like whatever M&M's chocolate, and then you see this like beautiful packaging, kind of like high-end chocolate that maybe has like, it's like a maple vanilla bourbon blend or something like that. And, you decide to buy this, the maple bourbon vanilla blend, and you have it and you take it to a date with your partner, and, you paid whatever, $15 for this bar of chocolate and you're savoring it. versus like if you just buy the M&Ms and you're kind of like downing the downing the M&Ms, you don't see this as this amazing experience, partially because it was this $2 bag, throwaway bag that you could get anytime. So it's really not a matter of whether people will pay. It's knowing how to attract the people who really value therapy enough and want this good service and have the means to do it. And of course, you'd be surprised at like how people can make money appear sometimes. That of course they're going to pay, for the right therapist. So there are a few things to this. Part of this is like being found by these clients, and I go over that in other trainings, like how to do that with your website, how to be found by referral sources, how to be found using directories, SEO, those kinds of things, which are things I help with. But what we're going to talk about today is showcasing yourself as a specialist. So the way to attract these clients who are willing to pay out of pocket for therapy is to showcase yourself as the specialist that they are looking for. I just mentioned like Oprah. Like Oprah would go to therapy with an issue. Like she would be like, I want to heal these childhood traumas. I want to work on my relationship. And so, if she finds the website of like, this person who does trauma and they're, and they also do family therapy and, anxiety and and they treat men and women and children, like that might not really stick out to her the way that it would if she found the website of a therapist who was like, EMDR certified and, or maybe like did brain spotting and all their blogs were about healing trauma and complex trauma and, symptoms of trauma and hope for healing trauma and the brain, that kind of client, that Oprah level client is going to by far be attracted far more to the person whose site is all about trauma. So doing this and really setting herself apart as a specialist, this allowed my client Alina to get a new private pay client who actually in a totally different state than where Alina is located, who wasn't even looking for a therapist for herself, to sign on to work with her after seeing the way Alina conveys her understanding of her ideal clients, her personality, and her unique specializations on her webpage. So again, since self-pay clients are in it to find the best therapist for their specialization they're looking for, this is why that phrase exists of like the riches are in the niches. Have you heard that before? And again, like if you're thinking about it, like comparing these two therapists, and I talk about this in other trainings as well, but this therapist who has a jillion specializations. And when I was first starting, I thought it was like best to say on all my profiles and everywhere that I specialized in like, everything, because of course I could treat a lot of different things, not everything, but, to talk about my ability to treat depression, anxiety, OCD, trauma, like all the things I could do. I thought that actually looked better. The truth is, and I didn't want to like exclude anyone, as I think that a lot of us don't who are therapists. The truth is that, again, when we have all those specializations, we don't stand apart. The way I started to really make money in my private practice was to niche down, was to be like, I treat women who are feminist women who are having anxiety and self-worth issues because they don't logically believe the stories of the patriarchy, but they've internalized those stories. And they have trauma, partially from this, partially probably other trauma. But this is really how I started to attract people to my site and to get people to be like, oh my God, like I feel so seen, I feel so understood, you're the person I want to work with. It doesn't matter that you don't take my insurance. So how do we do this? How do we portray you as a specialist? So the first thing we did for Alina was we got super clear on the person and the problem that she was wanting to treat. because a niche isn't just something like, women in transition, or women who want more joy in their lives, or EMDR, or something like that, or LGBTQ. No, what's the problem? What is the person? So Alina really thought long and hard, and she really did some soul searching about the kind of client who truly lit her up. And I have all kinds of exercises that really help facilitate this and help you get excited about it. One kind of nugget is, if you're deciding between some niches, one thing you can do is really imagine like you're going to a conference, and one conference is all full of a certain kind of client, like a client with, OCD or something like that. And then you're imagining another conference with a client that's maybe experiencing, body image issues or whatever it is. And really thinking about yourself in each of these conferences, like which one do you feel excited to go to? Which one would you want to be around these people? Because this is going to be a lot of the people you're seeing day in, day out. But it's also really important to think about things like who has lit you up, who has talked about really valuing and being affected by your work, who has told you how much you've helped them. Maybe who do you relate to? What do you have kind of personal experience in? Who do you have a passion for helping as well? So thinking about some of those things is going to help you get clear about like who this person is, what their pain is. But we also want to have you really narrowing in on what is the pain. This is really important because we're going to be writing to them a lot through talking about their pain and empathizing with their pain. Alina really realized that she loves working with moms, and she's also a trauma and brain spotting provider. So she has been able to really narrow in on both of these in all her web copy, and also climb the ranks of Google by she knows exactly what to write about to get higher up on Google, which is so cool. So we want to have you getting hyper clear on this person, what the person does every day, who they talk to, where the person is, what the person does to solve their problems before they come to you. And then also thinking about how this person actually describes their pain, not using clinical jargon. So what are the terms they might be using? What are they typing into Google in order to find a therapist? So maybe for example, instead of talking about a low ability to tolerate distress or internalized patterns and childhood trauma triggers, this person might be instead talking about how she's so exhausted she can barely breathe, and she has feelings of hating her kid, but she's scared other people are going to find out about it. She sometimes feels like she's a machine who's just here to serve others' needs rather than feeling like a whole person. So we want to really speak to them in a way that they feel like, oh my God, that person is inside my head, not in this clinical jargon, if that makes sense. Another thing I see a lot is people doing a lot of platitudes. So we want to avoid this. So we don't want to have you be talking about stepping into your truest self, or living your best life, or we don't want to be using kind of these vague platitudes. We want to be talking about exactly how they're going, how this is going to help them heal, how therapy with us is going to help them heal. Be able to think or talk about your trauma without feeling like you're going to throw up, without feeling triggered by this thing anymore. We want to give them concrete things that this is going to help them do. Be able to set boundaries in your life so that you feel like your needs are being met in your relationships, and your relationships are no longer one-sided. We want to be talking also about what this person wants in their own words on all our website copy. And then we want to be adding a lot of content to our website, and I talk about content a lot. But one of the things I think is very important is blogs for this. We want to have a lot of great content on our blogs where we're speaking to this person, we're speaking to their pain, we're speaking to what they want, we're again using their words. Another just like little mistake I want to just kind of mention in here is sometimes I think people are really like afraid to go deep. And this is a problem I see fairly often is like sometimes there's sort of a like surface level dealing of the problem of just like, I help you achieve wellness or find joy and one thing people really want to see when they come to your site is that you have this ability to grapple with their pain and you can understand their pain. So rather than just, talking about like, oh, you're feeling kind of stressed out, like we do want to be talking about like, maybe you do have these feelings of hating your child or wanting to kill your child, or you are suffering so much that you want to get a divorce, like you are, like really like going there with how, because if people again are seeking out a therapist and they're willing to invest the time and money into therapy, they're going to be in some pain. They're not necessarily always just looking for like someone to help them with their stress or something like that. So being willing to go deep with them into their pain. Okay. So, and maybe not wanting to kill their child because that might attract some not great fit people for you, but potentially it might. So I'm not a specialist in that area. I wouldn't know. Okay. So, Alina, and another thing that I think is really important is showing your personality on your website. Being able to, you don't have to like self-disclose like everything about you, but having your website have personality, having it have like the client knows what it's like to work with you and gets a sense of you and gets a feel of you and knows and likes and trusts you just by reading your website, by reading the content you have out there. And this can include some self-disclosure at times. What it's not is just like sort of like a list of all your qualifications or your I am passionate about helping with this kind of thing. We also really want our websites to be written like to, and our everything we do to be like written to the client. So rather than it be about us, and I'm the kind of treatment provider who likes to do this, and I do this, and da 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 da. We really want it to be like every section like starts out and it's really about them. Like you're experiencing XYZ, and then you come in as like, this is how I help, like it's really about their experience. People are thinking about themselves when they're looking for a therapist. So Alina did all these things on her page and it was beautiful. And I reviewed and audited her website as I do for all my clients. And the mom who found her was actually looking for a brain spotting therapist for her son and found her because Alina's keyword ranking is so good for brain spotting in the state where she is. But she saw the page and she felt so seen that she decided to book with Alina herself. So she wasn't even looking for a therapist for herself, but she felt so seen that she was like, I need to work with this person. So I call this the specialist advantage, and it is a pillar of my formula, establishing expertise, where we establish you as the specialist, as the rock star expert therapist that you are, so that private pay clients are rearranging their schedules and are just so excited to work with you. So that's what we've been talking about today. We also focus on Kismet findability, and this is allowing you to be found by these awesome private pay soulmate clients without you needing to burn yourself out or be visible everywhere, but getting you to the top of Google, because that's a way clients will often find you, connecting you with the correct referral sources, having some other ways for you to get yourself out there to be seen. So all of that is going to fall flat if you are not speaking to your client when they do find you. The last pillar is embodied support. And this is really about you supporting yourself with a practice that is good for you, has great boundaries, as well as supporting your current clients and rolling out the red carpet for them, doing amazing clinical work, taking trainings, like doing the things you need to do to be a great therapist. And it's also about supporting your future clients. So having them, when they find you and they find your site, be able to get to learn something, to feel seen, to be helped, even if they don't decide to work with you. So this is a part of the way we give back. It's also a part of the way we get people to refer to us. It's also a part of the way, we do convert some clients to work with us. So yeah, I'm just seeing Counselor Stanley, just some of what you're saying. Yeah, I'm glad some of this is resonating with you as well. So yes, thank you for watching today. If you know that you would like to have a private pay practice in this era of the corporate mental health companies, and you want to learn how my liberated practice formula can help you do that in just 12 weeks, go ahead and book a call with me. I will put the link below, and it has been lovely to be here with you today. Okay, thanks so much.